This is a series of stretches that are done with a belt lying on your back. So we're going to do stretching that does the hamstring, the IT band, and the inner thigh. So we're going to start off with, I'm going to do my left leg because that's the one that'll open up this way. Otherwise, I'm going into the wall. So you're going to get the belt and reach your leg towards the ceiling. It's fine if it's not going straight up. You may need to lower it down towards the floor. But what you're wanting to do is get the belt kind of through the widest part of your foot. Find a comfortable position and then start off with two hands and find that place where you're getting a stretch in the hamstring here. And then you can use the breath to reach the foot further away. Flex the foot as you inhale, and then as you exhale, you may be able to draw the belt just slightly towards you. So you're just working with the breath, inhaling to lengthen the leg, and exhaling to bring it closer. We're just going to breathe here, working with that release using the breath. And you may want to kind of walk your hands out so that you're not having to hold your arms. So you can kind of release the weight of the arms, eventually finding that place that says, okay, yep, this is as far as you're gonna go. Being gentle with yourself, being mindful. You don't want to overstretch, overdo it. You don't want to push past a threshold of comfort. But it's not always comfortable stretching a very tight muscle. So you have to find your sweet spot. Balance between those two ideas. And then we'll release the hamstring, but we're going to keep the foot lifted, and you're going to draw both of the straps into your right hand. Place your left hand on your hip. Keep reaching that leg high, and then you're just going to cross the leg over the body, and you might not go very far. So we're trying to get into the outer hip now, rather than the back of the leg. You're still going to feel some stretch there, but we're focusing on releasing this IT band. So the reason the hand is on the hip here is just to make sure we stay anchored there. And again, you're going to use the breath to inhale, feel the leg lengthen, and exhale, maybe find like a tiny more space to cross over the body. So really, really minute movement, micro movement. For me, this is a very common place to hold tension. So we're aiming for about, 30 seconds, 3 really deep breaths. And then we'll release that, and we're going to move the belt so that you have more length. And we're going to allow the leg to come out to the side. So I kind of prop my elbow up and pass the belt onto that hand and slowly walk the leg open. And then eventually you might be able to release a little more. But again, we're going to work with that breath. So inhaling, reaching the leg away, keeping the right hip nice and anchored on the floor. And as you exhale, you might find more space, allowing the hip to reach towards the floor. But at some point, you definitely want to find that place like, okay, here's where my threshold is. And then you're going to hold and do again another like 30 seconds, 3 deep breaths. You might feel a little shaking, and that's fine. You can try really engaging the muscles of the leg, like the tops of the thigh, the quadricep, and then try releasing that. Sometimes in these poses, when we're really working at a threshold, engaging the muscles and then releasing them helps us to isolate and really feel that release occurring. And then we'll slowly come back out. So those are the 3 stretches. It's hamstring, IT band, and then the inner thigh there. So I'm going to have to swap directions. You can stay where you are, probably. Maybe not. Maybe you have a space issue as well to come onto the other side. So we're going to put the belt around the thickest part of the foot and keeping the belt in both hands. Start to find your threshold. So you want to make sure not be really hyperextending the knee either. So just be mindful of that. Some people have a really loose knee joint. So the way you do that is flexing the foot and making sure you're not locking out that joint. So inhaling to reach the foot towards the ceiling and exhaling to draw the foot towards the nose. And again, you may be here. You might not be all the way up here, and that's absolutely fine. And as you work on this stretch, you may find, oh, actually, after doing this 4 or 5 times, I can get my foot pointed towards the ceiling. And again, eventually you might find the length where you can actually release the weight of the arms just by holding them on the belt. And work with that breath. Inhaling the leg long, exhaling the foot towards your face, towards your head. And working with that threshold, aiming to do about 3 breaths once you find your threshold. And then we're going to place both straps in the right hand, bring the left hand to the hip to anchor that hip down, and we're going to just gently start to cross that leg over the body. So you can tell I'm not moving very much, but the intention of the stretch for me has shifted to this outer hip, to the IT band, and I can't go very far. I have a lot of tension there. So I'm inhaling the foot away, exhaling across the body, and I'm doing tiny little micro movements, finding that threshold and aiming for about 3 deep breaths. And then we're going to open up the inner thighs. So just going to prop up that elbow, the right elbow, pass the belt into that hand, bring the left hand onto the hip, and then slowly, carefully, minding your threshold, can use the hand occasionally to come and help hold the belt so that your right hand can move and shift longer. And you know, again, you might be here, you might be here. Wherever you are is totally fine. If you need to use both hands, that's absolutely fine. You just need to make sure your left hip stays anchored. So again, finding that threshold, being mindful of your body. Find that space, and then try for about 30 seconds or 3 deep breaths. Inhaling to lengthen the leg and exhaling, finding maybe a tiny bit more opening. And then we'll bring the leg back up and release the belt. And then I like to just try and shake out the legs a little bit. And you can always bring the knees into the chest just to end the stretch, if that's all you're going to do today. Just allowing the hips to sort of integrate the work you've done. Okay, that is stretches with a belt for the hips.